Okay, so for this right here, this is going to be for an Emperor pen, and I'm chosen a pedometer face for the upper, and to simply put these on, I use just some inexpensive clear nail polish. Shake that up first. And I'm going to put a decent sized gear over here on the bottom, a liberal amount of polish, clear polish. Just attach one of those. Add a little more. So I want to put down this piece right here. This is already contoured and bent. I'm going to put that up there. That fits nicely in between there. So I want a little contrast on that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right on top. And then a small gear will fit right inside there like so. And I just want that to cure for a couple of minutes. Oops. And then we'll just build that up in succession. A little bit of time has passed. I was adding a little bit more bits and pieces on, as you can see, all the way around. And I just want to fill in these couple of pieces here and right here on the inside of those holes. So inside these holes real quick. And put my glasses on. And then I'm gonna reach in here in my little thing. These are the jewels. So I'm gonna put a jewel right in the center. Kind of dazzle that up a little bit. And then I'm gonna look for some different size gears and other little pieces to fit inside these holes. Move that back over. Let's see. And then we'll grab another jewel. No. We'll get another little decorative piece. Drop that in there. And that looks pretty good. That dresses that joint up. Okay, so that's the top. This is the upper. And that looks pretty good. Now we'll switch to the lower part. So as you can see, I started on the lower with the dial, the calendar dial, and some pieces here, slowly starting to work my way around. As I roll it back, you can see I've done the same thing with a large gear and some small pieces. And then I'm just going to work my way around again with a different shape of gear this time. Again, we'll put a liberal amount. And this is just basically about filling in the gaps as we go and just sort of playing it by ear in what way looks best. So when you get these larger gears that are a little bit heavier, these have to set for a few minutes while that nail polish dries as an adhesive. And that one has kind of a large gap in the middle, so I'm going to take advantage of that gap while it's still wet. I'm going to drop a gear or and we'll just let that set for about 20 minutes, and then I can rotate it. Take a little patience in doing it this way, but the end result looks pretty well. It looks better than pretty good. It looks really good. So we'll come back when that's dry and I can add more. Here is the completed blank, top and upper and lower. Okay, these are my homemade bushings that I made to cast my resin in. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of drops of mineral oil and I'm just going to swab the outside here so the casting doesn't stick. Okay. Then obviously this is the large end that goes in. This is the generic mold I made that you've probably seen on one of my other videos. Shows you how I made that using Casting Craft mold maker. Oops. This is a centerpiece. It's thin on one side and thicker on the other. Okay, so we'll let that set, then we'll just mix this right here. Oops. So this is a good size mold, a good size casting. Put that back down to 0. I'm going to do about 4 ounces. Maybe 4.5 ounces just to be sure. Oh, just a little over 4 ounces, 4.5 ounces. I'm going to do 10 drops per ounce of this resin. That's a full cup. Go ahead and mix that up really quickly. So I do not have a pressure pot You've probably seen that in one of my other videos where I've said that, but because this is a larger size casting, this is a 1" by 1" mold. There's plenty of room for the air bubbles to float up out of the way. And what I'm going to do is slowly pour it over the top. Let it encapsulate as I pour and fill in from the bottom. So if there are already voids, it will fill it in automatically. And you can see the air bubbles come to the surface on that one. This is the first time I've done an Emperor pen, so I'm not exactly sure how much resin it will take. So I'm just adding a little more just to be sure. This is a one size mold that fits all. I've only done about 30 plus of these pens, and I use the same type of mold. Now with the gap on this side, I'm just going to fill that up. That way there's no room for this stuff. If there's a small gap in the cracks, that'll float out and that'll run over here. So now there's no room for it to go anyplace else. So I'm just going to go back and top that up, front and back, and maybe a little more back on that side just to be sure. Then we'll let all those air bubbles float up to the top, and we'll give that a day to come out of the mold, and then I'll let it cure nice and slow. Okay, I got a little air bubble right here. That side's okay. Side's okay. But what I'm going to do is and I got a small little air bubble right there. I'm just going to put some CA thin and let it seep in and fill those cracks. And then we'll be good to go. Right there. So just a little thin CA. Let that sit overnight. I'm going to go actually all the way around. I'm going to do both sides of the blank. So it doesn't really make a difference what side I do first. I'm going to let that set, cure on its own.